अभी दे ये स्पीड कम करा दो हैं excellent sir that is the job of the director excellent
Yes, sir.
thank you
Sir, Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar was born on 18th May 1951 to late Shri Gokalchan and late Srimati Kesari Devi. He did his BSc Honours in Physics from Maharaja's College, Jaipur, and LLB from University of Rajasthan. He was enrolled with the Bar Council of Rajasthan as an advocate with effect from 10/11/1979. He was designated as Senior Advocate by the High Court of Judicature for Rajasthan with effect from 27th March 1990. Since 1990, Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar had been practicing primarily in the Supreme Court, and his focus area of litigation have been in the field of steel, coal, mining, and international commercial arbitration, amongst others. He has appeared in various high courts in the country and was the senior-most designated senior advocate of the state till assuming the office of the governor on 30th July 2019. Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar was a member of the 9th Lok Sabha in 1989 to 1991 and Union Deputy Minister for Parliamentary Affairs in May 1990. He was the Governor of West Bengal during 30th July 2019 to 18th July 2022 and has been the Vice President of India from 11th August 2022 onwards. I thank Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankhar, for taking his valuable time to interact with the students of IIT Guwahati. Sir, with your permission, can we start interaction?
go ahead
Students, I will ask you to raise your hands if you have a question, then I'll call your name, then you can introduce yourself briefly and pose your question. Please raise hands if whoever has question. The lady here. Microphone, please.
Front, the front.
एक ही करने से बेटा क्वेश्चन होगा देखो go ahead
Empowerment is increasing day by day, and gender equality is so. So, my question is, as an institution, IIT Guwahati, how can play the role for women empowerment and for the gender equality?
who can play the role
IIT Guwahati institution like IIT
okay
the role for empowering women empowerment and fostering the greater participation of women in the technical sector and professional field, sir.
it's a very important question and coming as it does from someone who is from the state of West Bengal. I have had the occasion to be governor of that state for 3 years. West Bengal is highly cultured state. It has a history of culture that can't be rivaled by anywhere else in the world. And it does represent woman power also. I got the taste of it. Honorable Mamata Banerjee is the Chief Minister of that state. Enormously talented. The world cannot progress without women empowerment. And that is taking place at a rapid pace at the moment. If you examine global history, it took United States a very long time to get its first female judge. Very long time, centuries. We had it in 80s. And the number of women Supreme Court judges now, we have had 3 also. That's one signal. When I, for the first time, appointed a nominated member, P.T. Usha ji, on the panel of Vice Chairman of Rajya Sabha, there was euphoric reaction all over, and she performed exceedingly well. She performed as well as she had been performing in athletics. If you look at the global situation, early days, India had a woman prime minister. Pakistan had a woman prime minister. Bangladesh had a woman prime minister. Sri Lanka had a woman prime minister. And they all were very impactful. When Disraeli, the Prime Minister of Israel, he had the occasion to reflect once. The only man in my cabinet is a woman. And he was reflecting on Golda Meir. We have had a powerful Prime Minister in the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher. We had a great Prime Minister of New Zealand, Helen Clark. We have leading lights now. A lady is heading IMF. Our own women have headed global institutions. And therefore, this gender does not lack anything at all not to compete with the other gender. Since 2014, series of steps have been taken to empower this gender. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao is giving rich dividends. It has impacted the urban and rural area qualitatively. Women education is now going up. I had the great good fortune to invite, greet and honor the top position holders in the IAS. 3 of them were from Delhi University, all women. When I interact with those who get into service and are probationers, IAS, IPS, IFS, IIS, Indian Defence Account Service, your number is not down, it's very much up. Even in parliamentary democracy, particularly in Rajya Sabha, I find woman power is reflected and it is dotted by knowledge, experience, exposure and contribution. So I have no doubt that India's rise is by and large accountable to the justice being given to this gender. So we are far from emancipation of this gender. We are for empowerment of this gender. And to put it lightly, beta, you are already a danger to the other gender. They are extremely worried. Look at the big change that has taken place. Air Force. And you become pilots. Not in civil aviation, in Air Force. You are being admitted to sailing schools. You are an important resource for armed forces. There is no activity of the state where gates have not been opened to you. People initially found it difficult. But now, this regime, this governance has given you equality right, I would say in sublimity, in reality. And that is why you'll find that most of the top positions globally held by Indians more than 50% are from your gender. So, but in any case, there has to be some protection of parliamentary representation. I don't think the day is far where even in parliament, legislatures, you will get proper representation. But please keep in mind the other forms of democracy which are constitutionally structured, like Part 9 and 9 capitally of the Constitution, panchayats and municipalities, your reservation is already there. So there is an upsurge at the ground level with the rise of women leadership, and they are highly impactful. Can you imagine? India's defense minister was a woman. The present finance minister is a woman. And we have other illustrious women in the government. They have done wonders, amazing achievements. And when I was addressing the convocation, I was looking all around. And I found you were upbeat. I am personally heavily inclined in favor of your gender. I only have a daughter. And my wife is a little more educated than I am. So best of luck. But as Chairman Rajya Sabha, I can assure you, if there would ever be issues concerning your gender that require attention, either by way of lawmaking or otherwise, your brother will not let you down. Best of luck to you.
Next question. Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Sansad Kumar. I am from Nevada, Bihar, and I am pursuing BTech in Chemical Science and Technology. Sir, my question is, what are the strategies that can be implemented to enhance nation building and to increase the domestic opportunities and so that to the students who want to pursue things from other country can do it here.
It's a very important question. I must congratulate you. Let me take you back to 4 decades, 5 decades. When I was a student and I became a lawyer, I wanted a loan of 6,000 rupees so that I could have my library. It was a tough challenge. I still remember vividly the manager who gave me those 6,000 rupees. And with that base, I am what I am today. All my attainments in the profession were heavily contingent on that. Now, there is an ecosystem because of affirmative steps taken by the government. You need to have an idea. Money is not a constraint. There is an ecosystem that allows you to fully exploit your talent, unleash your energy, realize your aspirations. That system has been created here. If we have that number of startups, that number of unicorns, it is only on account of opportunities that are made available now. Look around. There are a number of government schemes which allow you to implement your idea. Money as a resource is no longer a distant dream. It is virtually available at your door. You just have to look around government policies and you will find you can easily implement your idea. Then friends, I'll tell you one thing more. Look at the nature of startups. Look at the kind of entrepreneurship that has developed. It comes from those who do not belong to business families, who cannot claim succession rights, and they are attracting attention of the leading lights in industry. There are a number of startups in which big industries have become stakeholders. So I would indicate to you, think out of the box, have an idea, contribute an idea in a manner so that public interest can be served. Take instance, for example, technological inroads in urban, semi-urban and rural areas. Where are the queues now to deposit your service charges, electricity, water, telephone? There are no queues. Where are the queues to get a railway ticket? How do you get an air ticket now? And mind you, this is in a country of 1.3 billion and more, where level of education may not be that much in all segments. But in every village you will find a person who will help you to get your air ticket, get your rail ticket, deposit your bills, get you an appointment for passport. That has happened. So transparency, accountability and technological application are the present facets of governance. I know there are challenges. Some people find it indigestible. But why this country is going that way? And I would make a comment because that concerns youth. The greatest handicap for growth of youth is patronage. Because patronage is enemy of merit. One is patronage. Second, corruption. Corruption eats into the growth trajectory only of those who are entrepreneurs, who are first generation creators. It doesn't eat into those who come from rich families, because for them it is just additional cost. And therefore, as young minds being stakeholders in this country's growth, and not only stakeholders, you are ambassadors, you are conveyors of success of this country, show zero tolerance for corruption. Your opportunities will be more. Take on patronage, and those who tempt us, tarnish us, deal with it. Let me tell you, you have global perspective, am I right? You belong to a distinguished institute, very distinguished, globally recognized. Can you find a parallel that somebody from our country will go abroad to taint us, to tarnish us, to damage our institutions? Take on them. If you feel what I say is right, neutralize. And therefore, it is time for young persons like you to believe in Vivekananda. Rise, awake, keep on moving till the goal is achieved. And I have no doubt about it. So now the opportunities are available. You have to not even grab them, you have to receive them. Grabbing comes when there are more people who want opportunities and the opportunities are less. The Honorable Governor is a very experienced man. Sir is on my left side. When he made certain observations today, it is out of great exposure, experience, ground reality that get employment for others. I had the occasion. When Sir was a legislator, I was legislator. Sir was a minister, I was in the opposition. I know his power, his reach, his thought process. Three things particularly he said today. And all three things you must write down. It will help you a lot. I also reiterated them. And I can tell you, if you start working for public welfare, you will invariably get money. Your success will be envied. Gone are the days where economic growth was controlled by few families. You are giving them run for their money now. If an idea occurs to you, you will find your progress will be geometrical, they will be left behind. Just tell me, what kind of concept is Uber or Ola or the kind of new marketing mechanisms we have had? How inventory is being controlled? All this is your genius. I have no doubt about it. India's future is bright because your future is safe and bright. It was a very good question.
Thank you, sir.
Next question.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Anil Patil and I am from Maharashtra and I am an undergraduate student here at IIT Guwahati. India recently become most populous country in the world with highest percentage of youth than any other nation. So my question is, how more effectively we can utilize this human resource and how we can build a nation that can provide equal opportunities for all. Thank you.
India is the most populous country. Any other country would have been worried. They would have thought in terms how to generate food security for 1.4 billion people, how to get work. We are not in problem because of that. We are in advantage. Honorable Prime Minister has severally hinted at demographic dividend. And that demographic dividend, that youth power, is the greatest strength our country has at the moment. Changes have been effected to give proper direction to our youth. And one is, after more than 3 decades, the country has got national education policy. And that national education policy has several fundamentals that make your education relevant. Earlier the problem was you had a degree and no one recognized it. IIT Guwahati has a degree, the world recognizes. IIT Guwahati gives you a degree and you get salutations from everyone. IIT Guwahati has given you that kind of training. Your faculty has so contributed to your growth that you have no problem. You are not choice. You go in for choice. But that is not with respect to all degrees. So degree-oriented education, which was our bane, that if you have crossed class 12, you must become a graduate. A graduate must become a postgraduate. A postgraduate must go for PhD. That has been given up now. Your inclination, your aptitude will define where you can grow. It has become now skill-oriented. It has become knowledge-oriented. And those drawbacks have been done away with. I can tell you from my own experience, canal and river are two things. Canal is made on a paper. It goes straight. River meanders. Now, river is created by nature. Meandering of the river generates maximum impact with respect to helping people around, with respect to recharging water. A canal will never do that. So earlier it was canal. A child is born, father would say, I want him to be an engineer. I want him to be a doctor. Let him be a photographer. Let him be a choreographer, let him be a painter, let his attitude go the way he wants. National education policy has done that. As Governor of the State of West Bengal, I was involved with it. It was Prime Minister's mission, passion and vision. And I can share it with you. Several 100,000 inputs were considered. All stakeholders were entertained before this policy was evolved. It is unfortunate that this policy in some states is being seen with political prism and it has not been adopted. I strongly urge that this is not policy of a government. This is not a policy of a state. This is policy of the nation. And why? You come from? Your home place. And the earlier person came from Nalanda. Reflect back. We were at peak. We had Takshila, we had Nalanda. Now we are getting some hope. IIT Guwahati will reach that level. We will have global institutions. So from that perspective, strength has to come from within. I refuse as an Indian, having respect as an Indian, valuing my nationalism, to be calibrated by someone else. Just imagine there are people who talk about our food security. They don't know that from 1st April 2020, 80 crore people are being fed free. Nowhere in the world this can happen. No one can ever imagine that a pandemic like COVID could be so controlled in a country like India, which is so diversified. Engage into innovation. Prime Minister engaged into innovation. He started his campaign with people's curfew. We all cooperated, but we did not know why it is so. Now we know why it is so. So this great populous country has two great virtues. One, hand holding. The hand holding may not be there in the high premium category of people who are gifted with wealth. But during COVID, ordinary people handheld those who were in need. And that is why we came out of it. So while we are most populous, we are also richest populous nation in human resource. And things will go the right way. Lastly, on this point, don't you see might of India now? Don't you see rise of India? Don't you see the respect Indian Prime Minister commanded in the US legislature? Don't you see the response that his address evoked? And don't you see when he talked of artificial intelligence, AI, as America, India? It is for the first time in the history of this country that the people all over are waiting what Indian Prime Minister says. And he has said two things very significantly. This is not an era of expansion, which is a message to our neighbor. And second, war is no solution. Imagine our actions are being dictated by what? Our own interest. Go to the statements made by the foreign minister. All of you are very intelligent. Go through those statements and you will find nationalism alone dictating course of action of our foreign policy. So friends, this is an advantage. There are countries in the world who have population but their demographic dividend is not marked by youth. Ours is.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I am Manshu Sharma from Haryana, currently pursuing PhD in Computer Science. So, sir, I would like to ask, sir, as a Vice President of India, what challenges that you have encountered with, and secondly, what piece of advice that you would like to give to young aspirants aspiring for top leadership positions in the country?
Well, the question comes from Haryana, but it has quality flavor of IIT Guwahati. Well, the challenges to the Vice President are not many. But Vice President is also ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha, and there the challenges are enormous. I must share it with you. Like IIT Guwahati is a temple of education. Here you people learn. You abide by the diktat of your teachers. You are accountable to your parents. You give your very best to learning. Suppose in IIT Guwahati there was no learning, there was no respect for faculty, where would you be? So Parliament is a temple of democracy. Parliament is a place for dialogue, discussion, deliberation, and then decision. We had Constituent Assembly. They worked for 3 years, but there was not single disruption. There was no walkout. There was no shouting. No one came to the well, and they gave us great constitution. Constituent Assembly, the members dealt with highly contentious issues that were per se divisive. It was very difficult to reconcile to a point of view. They did it. And what we see today, entire session is washed out. Now this is very worrisome. This is very alarming. This taints our democracy, and the youth have to play a role. You have to catalyze an ecosystem that you don't welcome it. Why should we not be discussing anything and everything in Parliament? How can it be that Parliament, where a lot of public money is involved for every minute of its working, is boycotted? If youth will exert pressure, if youth will force everyone, including representatives, that you have to do your duty. People are elected to the legislature to perform some duties, to serve public interest, to project their point of view. Surely not to create a chaotic situation. Certainly not to impede functioning of such bodies. I have no doubt, if you people start generating public opinion, the leaders will be accountable. We are a largest democracy, we are a functional democracy. We should be doing that. Secondly, it is easier said than done that good people should come into politics. It is said very often that good people should join politics. I'll tell you, there is room still. I was the one who thought I will never join politics. I never thought. But I contested and won election to the High Court bar for the post of president at a very young age. I thought I will never get into national politics. I got. Politics has to be game plan of those who believe in nationalism. And youngsters must come forward. There are opportunities now, and the opportunities are enormous. Look into that direction. And secondly, you said how one can gain. Well, surely if your mind is in playing cricket and your family forces you to be an engineer or a hockey player, things will not be in the right direction. Let me tell you, friends, something which I have seen and you all know it. We people are very status conscious. We live in a society where we ignore happiness, we ignore satisfaction, but we care for a car that should be more premium as compared to the neighbor. House must be bigger. Others must think, well, because I am holding a position, give that up. The moment you detach yourself from these things that really don't matter, use your talent, use your aptitude, get directional focus, you will do wonders. It may take time. Mark my words. Initially it will take time, but thereafter it will be unstoppable. Compare your life with a rocket. How difficult it is to launch it. How much energy is taken, and how difficult it is to leave the Earth's gravitational force. But the moment it goes out of that, speed picks up. There is hardly fuel consumption, and you are on a trajectory the world envies. It will happen with you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, this lady in front.
Good evening, sir. I am Tasneem Hussain. I am from Assam. I am a PhD scholar at the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences. Sir, I want to know that, to realize the vision of making India and to make India a manufacturing hub, what programs or policies do you suggest for a non-industrialized region like Northeastern India?
A big change took place in this country several decades ago, and that change was look east. The change was there. It was in the last century. Prime Minister Modi took it upon himself and gave a new dimension to it. And the dimension is look east, act east. And from that perspective, this policy is not within the limits of this nation. It goes beyond Southeast Asia and up. I noticed it when I was at Phnom Penh last November attending ASEAN summit. Now look at what has happened here. One, the number of airports in Northeast, from 9 they have gone to 17. The connectivity has gone up. There is a closer connect of Northeast with rest of the country. There is historical justice to this part of the country, whether it is rail, road, air, or technological connectivity, things are looking up. And they are going upward, no doubt about it. But when it comes to industrialization and Make in India, it is happening extensively. If you mark all big ticket arrangements which the country has had, whether it is getting Rafale, whether it is getting other defense equipment, what is not being noticed that well is that by and large we are relocating much part of production from that country to this country. I have myself seen about Rafale. Asimara, I went there as governor and I was amazed that the kind of workshop which our country has is not there even in France. It is happening. Ultimately, things have to be done by us. Our neighbor can't do it. Let me share with you all my deep anguish. There is no greater human genius in the world than the ones born in this country. But we lack one thing, and that is systemic working. The Western world is thriving, according to me, on mediocrity or our talent. But they work on a system. In our country, we lack the system. Take, for example, the road. We think it is our right to be left side and middle of the road. Imagine for a moment, if all of us were to believe in discipline on road, things will be so effective. What kind of progress is being done by having our mega highways? We have 4 lane, 6 lane, 8 lane, 12 lane mega highways. But if we don't believe in discipline of road, things will be very different. Certain basic issues which we never dreamt. Would we have ever thought every house will have a toilet? We never thought. It is now there. Has any Indian ever in the West thrown a banana skin out of a running vehicle? No. But earlier we were doing it freely. Now we don't. Others look at it. Because that campaign started by the Prime Minister has picked up. So we are a country very talented. We only have to believe in some kind of a system. I don't want to say much, but what is happening today in Europe? What is happening in some parts of Africa? And look at where we are, in a much sounder position of economy and law and order and otherwise. So from that angle, get into the heart of it. I had made a point in the convocation address also. Economic nationalism. Do not sacrifice your economic nationalism merely because kites from outside, Diwali earthen lamps from outside, or furniture from outside is available cheaper. Because in the process, not only we are draining out our foreign exchange, we are not allowing our people to contribute and go in that direction. Let me put a pointed question to all of you, and you belong to a very elite institute. If you start finding that there are certain areas in which we do not make steel, you take it upon yourself to give an idea to someone who can execute it, things will be very different. Right now, the ecosystem is highly supportive. And that's why I urge the young minds to ignore these sidekicks. You are not a stakeholder in politics. I am not a stakeholder in politics. But we all are stakeholders in governance. We all are stakeholders in growth of this country. We all want this country to prosper. Let political parties play their politics. But we cannot encourage anyone to playing of politics at the cost of nationalism, or accomplishments of the nation. So things are bright, have an idea, and it will cut through. Simple idea.
Thank you, sir. Someone from the back? Yes.
She has been raising her hand for quite some time. Go ahead.
Hello.
Just a minute. Sir, as a question.
I think she has raised twice.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Ashita Batra from Uttarakhand. I am pursuing PhD in Computer Science branch from IIT Guwahati. Sir, my question to you is, like how does India plan to achieve a balance between sustainable development and infrastructural development while considering the importance of both for economic growth of our country, and also like how does our country reasons about informing the country's approach towards this trade-off for balancing this trade-off?
Well, it's a question that is engaging mind of the global leaders. Sustainable development. We call it by varied names. Climate change. It's having very adverse impact. A development that is not sustainable is not development. And that's a long-term adverse impact on societal growth. But look at our historical background. Look at our civilizational ethos. India, Bharat has always believed in sustainable growth. Coming to trees, we worship them. There are people, Vishnois in particular, who will lay down their lives but will not allow you to cut trees. We have been believing in it. Our sustainable growth, if you go from economic point of view, was to make a village an economic unit. And that was there earlier. A village will be self-sufficient. Self-sufficient even to the extent of having steel products. सीजर्स बनती है, चाकू बनता है, एग्रीकल्चर इम्प्लीमेंट्स बनते हैं, दे ऑल आर देयर. और गांव में लोहार बनाता था, गांव में कुम्हार बनाता था. मतलब every art work was available in a village as a unit. So we believed in sustainable development. Now sustainable development has three particular facets. One, to what extent we can have non-invasive growth. Non-invasive means that doesn't corrode the essence of our life. There is a great focus by the Prime Minister. Very great focus. One, solar. If you go to any rural area now, you will find solar. In every agricultural field, you will find solar. In every new house construction, it's a mandate. And India is officially the headquarters of International Solar Alliance, where more than 100 countries have come together. So this is one. Secondly, look at the campaign that has been launched against plastic. They are doing it. And unfortunate part is the intelligent people, educated people are ignoring it. Go to some of our rail stations, go to the seashore, go to the beaches, and we find a terrifying situation. But this is being done. It is for the first time that waste management has become an industrial activity. There is one European country that so much dependent on waste being converted to wealth, that they are importing waste from outside. In our country also this is happening at a very extensive level. But there has to be some general awareness about it. That awareness somehow or the other we are lacking. I want young minds in particular to find substitutes so that we have a sustainable growth by use of those items that are either biodegradable or that are natural product. Now go to any mall and we get plastic bags. I think there are easy substitutes, and this place is enormously well suited to give that substitute. So is the state of West Bengal and other states. So first, if every Indian decides that I will make a difference to my nation, he will certainly make a difference to his own life. And that will be economic activity. regarding infrastructure growth, India is a country that is having exponential, explosive, unprecedented infrastructure growth in the shape of roads. We are having absolutely amazing in the shape of airports, in the shape of ports, and in the shape of technological connectivity also. We are next to none in the world at the moment. And that is why if you look around, amongst the large economies, we are the fastest growing. And mind you, our growth has to be seen in the backdrop of a situation that we are a democratic nation. Democratic nation means flourishing of human rights, digesting the other point of view. People have right to dissent. They have easy, effective, efficacious access to justice system. So things are happening. But sustainable development is partly a government job. Majorly, it's a job of every citizen. Majorly, it's a job of non-state actors. And the moment we get into that job, things will be excellent. For example, dirt, filth, they are antithetical to sustainable growth. They are enemies of sustainable growth. But we shift dirt, we shift filth. We are happy if our household is fine, so throw it at the door of the neighbor. But the entire ecosystem, world is one. Our G20 motto is one family, one earth, one world. So you can't be happy with your place being clean and neighbor's one not being clean. So that awareness has to be, it's coming up fast. It's coming up very fast.
Yes, sir.
And then Uttarakhand is a good place. It's a ghost territory.
So one who stood up will take two questions, sir. Can we take two questions together?
Yes.
And next page.
Good evening, Mr. Vice President. My name is Aman Pal. I am from Tripura. I am Tripura. I am studying in the Department of Chemical Engineering as a research scholar. It's an absolute honor to hear you, and I must say that one day I hope I'll be half as good as leader as you are today, sir. Mr. Vice President, my question to you is, what is the historical background behind the national education policy, and what specific challenges does it aim to address?
Sir, can we take one more question? Piyush? Piyush, yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Piyush Dure. I am currently pursuing my bachelor's from chemical department. Sir, my question for you is that in the light of ongoing discussion surrounding adoption of uniform civil code in India, sir, considering our India's diverse nature, what is your perspective, sir? Is it viable and beneficial option for us?
Okay. I am always worried why they call us vice president. Neither he has a voice nor I have a voice. So we are on the same page on that.
Sir, can he add one more? He is also a Gymkhana member.
Good evening, sir. Myself Gunjan Kumar. I am from Samastipur, Bihar. I am pursuing Master in Center for Sustainable Polymer. I am also serving as a General Secretary, a Student Welfare Board. As a part of a student body, I would like to ask you, how does the youth contribute to the governance, and what role do they play in shaping the future of the nation?
First, national education policy. We had an education policy in late 80s. That was the last time. Now the world had seen big change then. In late 80s, we didn't have computer, we didn't have mobile, we didn't have internet, we didn't have social media, we didn't have TV channels, we didn't have Netflix, nothing of that kind. we were dependent heavily on a typewriter, manual typewriter. And some people who were rich enough would have some kind of a photocopier where you will see number of balls rolling and going down. Now, not to revisit our education policy when the world has seen a paradigm shift in working pattern. There had been changes that had given the countries cutting edges, was not appropriate. When I was a minister in 90, some thought was given to it, but our government didn't last long. And thereafter, no government was stable enough to take that kind of a big leap. That has been taken now. All stakeholders have indicated what is ideal for this country. One thought was that ancient India was home to world's very large institutions, Nalanda, Takshila, and many more. And people from all over the globe used to flock to get taste of knowledge from our institutes. But that vanished. Now, new national education policy affords a different kind of mechanism. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of it. But one thing which it does is very clear, and that is it allows you to fully exploit your potential and talent at all stages. It allows you to go for multiple courses. It allows technology to be used. And it has become not laden with degrees. It has become laden with skill. So knowledge, skill and utilization thereof are the fundamentals that govern the national education policy. And this is a game changer. Big things are taking place now. Let me give a small illustration. The country as a whole is witnessing capacity improvement. If you are in government, if you are in any government department or even a private body, capacity building is taking place. In my jurisdiction, I am also doing it. So I have to look where can there be capacity building. And suddenly I found a boy in my office who was extremely agile at yoga. Earlier, you could not take things in that direction unless you were a graduate or let's say higher secondary. Now let me tell you, to be a good driver, it's good enough if you are class 5. To be a good yoga teacher, it is good if you are class 10. Those things have now happened. And they are happening. So we have number of trades which are getting respectability now. And that's an amazing change that has taken place. Then, national education policy is focusing heavily on research and development. Why engage everyone in research if he or she is not inclined? But those who are inclined can pursue it. And they change the world. So that is happening massively. So I have no doubt. National education policy is now nearly national because some states are yet to take adoption of it. That should happen shortly. Well, the next question was Uniform Civil Code. Now, framers of our constitution were very wise people. They had a separate part in the constitution, and that part was directive principles of state policy. And they were firm that these are fundamentals of governance. And they were also firm that these are those for which the state must have a duty to make law. So framers of the constitution had mandated, generated an obligation on future rulers that you will make law so that directive principles fructify. Now one was panchayat, Earlier, panchayats were not there in the constitution, but they were there in directive principles. So, around 1991, we had amendment in the constitution, and panchayats became bodies, constitutional bodies, with structured elections. Same was for municipalities. Another was education, right to education. We have now Right to Education Act. Law has been made. Another directive principle was cooperatives. Recently, we have a new Ministry of Cooperatives, and there's a constitutional provision for cooperatives. Similarly, we have Uniform Civil Code. Now look at all around the world. You have religious freedom. But why should you have freedom on road? Does it look nice? Is it acceptable? Can a road that is meant to be used by all irrespective of caste, creed, color, religion be used at an occasion, putting everything haywire? It doesn't happen in most countries. It doesn't happen in countries that follow rule of law. Similarly, if framers of the Constitution had said Uniform Civil Code, I ask a question to myself, why not? Why not? And should we wait, keep on waiting, even after 70 years? We had a temporary Article 370. You have no idea what happened in Jammu and Kashmir because of this. You have no idea how people were deprived of affirmative policies, how people could not own land or could not get government assistance, could not vote in panchayat, could not vote in municipality, but could vote in parliament. These are aberrations, painful aberrations. People were suffering in silence. Its abolition took place, and a big change has taken place. We must consider Uniform Civil Code. This will happen by way of law. That law will be introduced in legislature. People are freely allowed to debate, discuss, and then निष्कर्ष तो ठीक ही निकलेगा. So, to say we must wait for some more time. Why? And there is no answer to that. If there is something to be preserved, law will take its care. Law will consider it. According to me, it should not be delayed any longer. Consideration. What shape law will take will be available in Parliament. And then our country has to be a little bold now. There are several issues which we have withstood. It is time we believe in our identity, believe in our civilization, believe in our spinal strength, and let us overcome all issues, not by compromise, but by conviction. That will happen. Well, the General Secretary asked a question about youth and their future. Is there any?
Youth and governance.
Youth and governance. मैं डिक्टेशन ठीक लेता हूँ, फ्यूचर वर्ड था पर गवर्नेंस बदल देता हूँ. Now let me tell you, I have a very extensive experience of General Secretary. They don't allow the President to function. I was President of the High Court Bar at a very young age, and I had enormously talented General Secretary. And I found from the Constitution, I can call a meeting, but General Secretary will have to sign it. So what happens if he doesn't sign it? So I hope you allow your President to function well. You see, our youth is our power. Our youth is our nuclear power. And I have closely studied, our youth is nationalist more than any other part of the world. I have not seen our youth getting engaged into any anti-national activities in an organized. They have not got it. But what pains me is that our youth is very tolerant. Our youth is mostly in silence zone. For example, Vande Bharat. What a great experience. Go to that train, manufactured in our country, nearly indigenous, and creating different kind of rail journey pleasure. Time is being saved. Why should anyone stone it? Can you give me one good answer? And should the person who stones that Vande Bharat be not taken as enemy of the nation? The damage that he is causing to the tax which you pay. Any expenses that take place are hard-earned money of the people. But we don't have a climate of condemning those people. Second, public destruction of property. वीडियो में दिखता है, ऑडियो में दिखता है, आग लगा रहे हैं गाड़ियों की, प्राइवेट गाड़ी की लगा रहे हैं, सरकारी गाड़ी की लगा रहे हैं, कई बार बिल्डिंग के भी लगा रहे हैं, रेलवे स्टेशन को लगा रहे हैं, रेलवे ट्रैक को डैमेज करते हैं. We don't hold them accountable by fast mechanism. Why? आप इतने टॉलरेंट मत रहिए. अब तो सोशल मीडिया मस्ट बी वेपनाइज्ड by the youth to serve the nation at large. आप लोगों का बहुत रोल है. You are stakeholders in governance. If you decide that the nation is on the right track, what is happening in the country is giving it spinal strength. You see, एक तो है कि किसी आदमी की मदद कर दो, एक है कि उसको इतनी ताकत दो कि वो खुद अपनी मदद करे, चार की ओर करे. इन दो में डिफरेंस है. मोमेंटरीली मदद करते हो, बड़ा अच्छा लगता है कि मेरे को मदद मिल गई. बट एज दे से इन द यूएस, देयर इज नथिंग लाइक फ्री लंच. तो ये फ्री बीजन है, दे आर लाइक फ्री लंच, एंड अ फ्री लंच समटाइम्स इज वेरी कॉस्टली. अब देश में हो क्या रहा है? देश में पहली बार एक सिस्टम हो रहा है कि कई चीजें गायब हो रही हैं. जैसे कहते हैं ना, गधे के सिर पर से सींग गायब हो गए. इन्वर्टर आपने खरीदा क्या कभी? और जो कंप्यूटर वाले वो थोड़ा ज्यादा सेंसिटिव करते हो, ये जनरेटिंग सेट बिके लोगों के, क्योंकि बिजली आने लग गई, हर घर में आने लग गई, 24/7 आने लग गई है. अब जब इतना डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है कि हर घर में टॉयलेट, हर नल में पानी, क्वालिटी आए, क्वांटिटी आए और टाइमली आए. These are things that are happening. Every village connected to road, every village connected to internet. और इंडियन माइंड तो बहुत जबरदस्त है. उसको स्मार्टफोन यूज करने के लिए IIT गुवाहाटी नहीं आना पड़ता है. IIT गुवाहाटी बहुत जबरदस्त काम करने के लिए आना पड़ता है, बाकी वो सीख जाता है. एंड दैट इज द रीजन कि आज के दिन, लेट मी टेल यू एंड यू विल बी अमेज्ड, 110 million farmers, 11 crore, are getting thrice a year direct transfer into their accounts of government assistance. Now, this is not freebie. This is helping a sector so well timed, divided in 3 parts of the year. But the recipient is technologically equipped. ये development हो गया है. So I have no doubt that youth of this country are the ambassadors of future. You will decide, mark my words, what India will be, what Bharat will be at 2047. And I have no doubt, with the kind of talent we have, give me a little credit. I know the talent outside. They are not a shade of our talent. They don't have that kind of intellectual ability. They don't have that kind of dedication to work 18 hours a day. 8 घंटे में थक जाते हैं. अपने को 18 घंटे वर्क करना पड़ता, थोड़ा आराम कर लो. So we by nature have been created because of thousands of years. और अपनी नॉलेज कितनी जबरदस्त है. उपनिषद, वेदास देखोगे तो हो जाएगा. Can you tell me when did we have the first aeroplane? 1912, 1012? Am I right? उड़न खटोले की बात तो देखिए रामायण में हो गई थी ना. When did we see this technological डायरेक्ट टेलीकास्ट की फेस टाइम पर बात हो रही है? देखा नहीं. पर महाभारत में तो संजय ने पूरा वर्णन दिया था. कुछ न कुछ तो होगा ना. मीनिंग देयर बाई दूसरे देशों में जाकर देखोगे तो 400 साल के पहले के इतिहास भी नहीं मिलता है. अपने यहां तो बहुत पुराना है. सो आवर यूथ डोंट ऑब्जर्व साइलेंस. Keep your nation always first. Take pride in being Indians. Be ever proud of our historic, unprecedented growth, accomplishments, and neutralize anti-national forces. कोई भी हो, किसी को लाइसेंस नहीं है. Leave the boundaries of this country and hold the fort that all is not well in India. I want to tell everyone, all is well with India, and those who think all is not well with India, nothing is well with them. Trust me, that is where we are heading.
With your permission, can we close the session? Can we close the session with your permission?
समय हो गया.
नहीं, सब क्वेश्चन हो गए.
Well, our students have lots of questions.
पर टाइम नहीं है सर.
नहीं,
Due to the lack of time.
good. ऐसा करो बेटा. How much time we have?
This is at 12.
Sir, we have to leave by 5:20.
By 5:30.
5:20 you have to leave, sir.
5:20. So जो क्वेश्चन है वो पढ़ दो एक बार. बोल दो. बोलो बेटा बोलो.
So, myself Vikas Sharma, I am Tech Civil Engineering. So, how does Indian judiciary maintain a delicate balance between upholding the constitution, adhering to its own orders and judgments, while also considering the status, ideologies and identities of lawyers and petitioners? Kindly elaborate on the factors that contribute to the judiciary approach in achieving these balances.
Next question.
Sir, myself Rakesh, I am from Andhra Pradesh, sir. Sir, my question is, what steps are you taking as a Vice President to promote entrepreneurship and provide assistance to the small-scale industries within the country?
Thank you, Vice President ji, for your passionate views and insights. The question is, you are having spent time in West Bengal. What is your perspective on key strategic areas that Northeast India should focus on improving in order to be a hub for industrial and knowledge, so that we can attract international, national talent here? Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else? Yes, better.
So I'm Nidhi Tagreja and pursuing PhD from Department of Civil Engineering. My special question would be about renewable energy. So I want to know your views. What strategies and initiatives as an India we can take to make a global hub for research and innovation, especially in the direction of renewable energy?
In direction of?
Renewable energy.
All questions over now? Okay. First, renewable energy. This gender must have precedence. So I think there is approval of that, approval of the House. Actually, we had been believing over centuries in renewable energy in a different mode. And that one was to minimize use of energy. Or from that perspective, मटके का पानी रेफ्रिजरेटर से अच्छा रहा है. We had those methods, but now there is a great focus, and the government is massively promoting it. Renewable energy, massively promoting it, for three reasons. One, energy sources. One is coal-based. Now that coal-based energy production is heavy drain on ecology, heavy drain on our system. Second is nuclear-based, which again is problematic in several ways. So India has taken a lead in renewable energy, and that we have both solar, that we have wind also, and hydro also. Hydro is limited, but for wind and solar, it is exponential. And government has done several affirmative steps. When they buy renewable energy, system is now very simple. If you have this kind of energy at your house, it immediately goes into a mechanism that reduces your bill. And that has become virtually a mandate for everyone who is coming up with new utilization of energy. So this is taking place massively. We are a world leader. Initially, we had to depend on equipment from outside. But thanks to institutes like IIT and our entrepreneurship, those things have made big headway. So this is a revolution in the making. And that is why I reflected earlier also, International Solar Alliance. We are headquartered in Gurgaon, and 17 countries are members of it. So that's a big change that is taking place. And it's a matter of time, will not be there. But I appeal to everyone. Energy consumption, which is related also to sustainable development, should not be because of your pocket. If somebody's pocket can afford 10 cars, and even a servant will go in a car, use this resource of petrol to get, let's say, vegetables, he can afford it. It may not pinch his fiscal position. But he must remember, you have no right. Your pocket does not decide how much energy you will use. Your need should decide how much energy you will use. Everyone is under obligation to use it equitably, as per need, not as per financial capacity. That culture we have to develop, and that will happen. Now coming back to the earlier one, the first one, judiciary. You see, there will always be issues between judiciary, executive and legislature. There will never be a day when there will be no issues. But we have finance judiciary. We have judiciary that is highly dedicated, a judiciary that delivers fast, a judiciary that gives justice, a judiciary that is independent. You would have seen number of judgments. You may look into it. Some go in favor of the government, some go against the government. Now we can't have that psych. If it goes in favor of the government, it is not independent. If it goes against the government, it is independent. Judiciary is not influenced by that. India has the richest human resource in judicial field. And of late, our judicial system is getting highly upgraded technologically. The present Chief Justice of India is a very innovative man. He has done things which will amaze you and you will appreciate them. All judgments of the Supreme Court are available in all the languages, vernacular languages of the Schedule 8 are available. He has reduced paper. We are having paperless working. The system is very fast now. So that being the situation, we must be proud of our judiciary. And I don't think anywhere else in the world you have a judiciary that is that independent as in our country. So don't be carried away by the issues. Issues will always be there. And we'll sort out the issues in a spirit of cooperation, coordination, consultation, dialogue. So we are proud of our judiciary. And so much investment is being made by way of infrastructure and improvement of human resource to make judiciary at the grassroots level very effective. So that is something amazing which is happening. Medium and small enterprises, they are the backbone of our industry. They are the backbone of our economy. They account for massive skill employment and human resources employed. They give work to many hands, and they are the epicenter of next level entrepreneurship. And it is happening massively in our country. I can assure you, I have studied it. The kind of assistance which is being given to this sector is unimaginable. And the assistance is being given in every facet. And micro and small scale industries are not micro and small in that sense now. If you read their definition, they are now quite big. And any one of you who chooses to start it, you will get good support from the system. The department is proactive about it. What is more significant is that easy finance is available for it. Such is the facility that it will take you no time to graduate to the next level. And now sky is the limit. If you choose an item which is import substitution, you will really get a good captive market here. So much is being done in that direction. Northeast has enormous potential. And for some strange reason, Northeast, they don't include West Bengal, but West Bengal and Assam are also critical for Northeast development. And Northeast connectivity, Northeast development is dependent on two factors. One, I don't wish to focus on big ticket investments or enterprises. I favor value added enterprises to the local produce. That value added enterprises are now coming up. Look at Darjeeling, look at Assam. Tea is a fundamental, one of the fundamentals of economy here. But value addition is taking place now. It is taking place massively. Similarly, there are certain agricultural produce that are highly rated from the Northeast. There are certain medicinal plants also. There are certain herbal plants also. And the moment some entrepreneur takes it upon himself or herself, then economic growth of that area will be impacted. We must have greater attraction of tourism to the Northeast. That will catalyze the growth of its economy beyond limit. People think in terms of going to other countries. They think in terms of, let's say, going to countries in Europe, maybe Switzerland or Singapore or New Zealand. They have no idea what a mine store Northeast is. The moment you see that area, and I therefore when went to Nagaland, Tripura, Manipur, Sikkim, I have focused that I will organize interaction of students in particular for visiting the parliament and having that kind of interaction, sharing their experiences with others. The moment the gold mine of Northeast is known to the people at large extensively, it will be a tourist hub at global level, and that will happen. So I see 10 years from now, Northeast being an important center and destination of global tourists and national tourists. Thank you for your time. वो आप लोगों ने गुरु मूवी देखी है? देखिए ना, उसके अंदर जो मेन कैरेक्टर है उसको कहा जाता है आपको सिर्फ 5 मिनट मिलते हैं, तो वो अपनी बात 4.5 मिनट में खत्म कर देता है और कह रहा है कि यही प्रॉफिट है कि 30 सेकंड बचे हुए हैं, तो यही प्रॉफिट है कि 5 मिनट बचे हुए हैं।
IIT Guwahati,